Skyhooks are popping up throughout New Eden as nullsec groups begin to install new infrastructure introduced by the Equinox expansion. Skyhooks in orbit around lava and ice planets can be raided for the reagents they extract, in a process kind of similar to ESS robbing. Similar, but also completely different. Firstly, there is no entry gate. Anyone can warp directly to the Skyhook. There are some NPCs defending the hook, and a reagent silo. Once the NPCs are dealt with, you shoot the silo until it's low on shields, and are then able to link with it to begin the raid timer. Once linked, and this is the suicidal bit, the raider cannot warp, jump, or travel faster than 1 km per second, and has to stay within 30 km of the silo for the 10-minute duration. In an attempt to claw back some semblance of control, I experiment with placing drag bubbles to force would-be snipers to land on top of us. I'm just guessing at where people will be coming from though. It never really worked for us, and I stopped bothering after a few hooks. If a raider moves outside of the 30 km link range, the link is broken, but the debuffs remain. A solo raider therefore has very little defensive options available to them. Your range control is just hoping any defending players want to brawl you. Any snipers turn up? Well, I hope you can tank them until the 10-minute timer expires. For my first raid, I'm teaming up with a buddy I started playing EVE with nearly 20 years ago. We're in Myrmidons, figuring that drones aren't speed limited like our ships. We've also brought expanded cargo holds and a mobile depot to allow us to loot the reagents after a successful hack. My ult is in a Keres to hopefully counter any long range ships that might respond, and if there's anything you can be sure of, it's that you will get a response fleet sooner or later. Pings go out to the surrounding systems as the timer progresses, so it's unlikely you'll go completely unnoticed. My Keres gets a chance to stretch its legs when a Varga lands at range. Why is it always a Varga? The damps completely negate the Varga from the fight. Great success. At least until its Bastion finishes cycling and it microjumps on top of us. Forgot it could do that. Spaghetti Brain soon followed, and it quickly became clear to us that fighting off even half decent response fleets would fail more often than not. The next day I took a trip out to Null solo, this time brick tanking a prophecy with my ult in a stealth bomber. Accepting that I'd eventually get shot at, I figured I'd at least be a good target. My bomber ult could stay at range and lob missiles to politely encourage people to leave us alone. I found a system with 4 raidable skyhooks and got to work. After each successful hack, I'd swap to expanded cargo holds and drop the loot in a nearby structure. I was left completely alone during this whole operation and made a tidy profit. Once all the loot was deposited, I moved it all into asset safety. I tripped through Pochven and I was back in Jita. Encouraged and a bit fed up of swapping back and forth between cargo expanders, it was time to upgrade my ult to a Deluge, the new blockade runner. With a 45,000 meter cubed infrastructure hold, I'd be able to transport my loot back to Jita instead of using asset safety. I also found out I can put a mobile warp disruptor in the infrastructure hold. I'll never have to dock again. A jackdaw appeared just as our hook timer completed. Local continued to spike, so before his friends could land and deny us of our hard-earned loot, the Deluge swooped in to save the day. Now, doing this with half a bill in reagents from previous skyhooks is maybe questionable, but when the loot's right there, it's hard not to. We decided that the prophecy wasn't as efficient as we'd like, and recognising that it was more expensive than it needed to be, we swapped to a Vexor fit that costs only 30 mil. Using a disposable Vexor in this way proved a good idea, and 30 mil could be replaced many times over by even a single successful Skyhook raid. Now, it turns out that sitting in a bomber for long enough without shooting something is its own danger. Some questionable decisions were made, a bomb was launched, and the loot can destroyed before our assailants could profit from our efforts. And I'd do it again. I think Skyhook raiding shows a lot of potential in its early days. It could be a great source of PvP for larger fleets, but for solo or small gangs I feel like the odds are stacked a bit too heavily against a raider. Sure, I've had a lot of success in cheap Vexors, but that's kind of the point, isn't it? The decision process I've taken you through in this video just shows that the meta will favour the cheapest ship possible to get the job done. Hardly engaging gameplay for responding fleets. CCP have indicated they're going to be focusing on improving Skyhooks. Hopefully this means less incentive for people to raid their own hooks before third parties steal their reagents, but I'm also really hoping some changes are made to encourage players to risk more expensive ships in solo raids. Having to wait out the 10-minute timer on an early D-link is a bit much. Having a reduced timer of say 1 minute if D-linking early may encourage players into things like recons. If they feel they have even a chance of escape, they may be willing to spend the extra ISK it would take. We've all seen the endless ESS stabbers, let's not have a repeat of that here. I'd be interested to hear some of your suggestions though. Are Skyhooks fine as they are? What would you change? Let's give CCP Monkey Paw some ideas to butcher. I'll be playing around with Skyhooks for a while though, that's for sure. My wallet likes them too much. I'll leave you with this fight as one of my Vexors got caught. I wasn't going down without trolling them a little. Have you ever seen Achilles get counter-damped? Brilliant. Seems like my drones decided they prefer shooting the Skyhook to the Kerries and just noped into the distance. CC please. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.